Hi, guys. This is Dr. Natasha Oquendo, and I'd like to welcome you back to my channel. Hey, listen, I wanted to continue on this path because I believe this is needful in hopes that it is helpful, right? But I just came over a milestone of 22 years of happily being married, blissful marriage, I would say. And so I shared some tips in the other video. You can also click that video if you hadn't seen that. This will be like a part two, right? And so if you haven't seen part one, you probably want to go see that one first. Well, it probably really won't matter. There's no particular order. So, hey, if you look at this one, jump to that one. I believe it's after 22 years of marriage, what people don't tell you, what they don't tell you. Go and check that one out. It'll you can actually probably click it in the link. It'll come up next after this video. But listen, so as I came over that milestone and I really began to just ponder everything and just begin to ponder and different things begin to come to me. And so here I am with you, giving you the news, right? I was up in the wee hours. Whenever it comes to me, I always have my notebook. I always keep my journal or whatever the case to catch those nuggets, right? Because I think they are very needful, very helpful, insightful, right? So listen and share this video with someone, even if someone aspires to be married, male or female, it don't matter. I believe this is going to, because I want to give a good balance, right, to both male and female. I don't want the female to feel like she just always telling us what to do, right? But I want us all to grow and evolve, right? So listen, as I was pondering this and just began to think of our journey, me and my husband, our journey, we were married back when I was like 26. So we were like 26 or 27 years old when we got married, and we've been together for married for 22 years, but we've actually been together 24 years. And so, with that being said, let me start out with number one for today. Now, what I have jotted down, and I kind of want to expound on this one really, really good, but it says to make the duties work for your household. Now, I can't stress this one enough. Me personally, to get us out of the, oh, women should do this and men should do this and blah, 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 right? All of that sounds good. It sounds great to put those stipulations in there. But at the end of the day, you have to look at what is suitable for your particular household, because all of our households are different. All of our households are ran differently, depending on the different positions and things that are happening in our household. So with that being said, I kind of want to, I guess, give an example and give an example of things that I have encountered through counseling others and things of that nature, right? But for my particular household, I remember in the beginning stages, I was the cooker. I cooked all the time. I loved to cook, right? And so I would always cook and prepare the meals for the household, but things have shifted now that we have been together for so long. And now my husband, he actually does quite a bit of cooking. It's like, tit for tat now. But I can remember the time when I did the bulk of it. And listen, I'm one of those women, I'm, from the South, live various places, North and South, but my roots, right, are from the South. And so I don't mind, I don't mind serving my husband, serving my man, serving my mate. I don't mind doing that. And so, I'm going to fix the plate because, I plate things as if I'm a chef, if that makes sense. I like to see the plate look nice, if you know what I mean. So I take the time to plate things and bring his plate, bring his napkin, bring his eating utensils to him and things of that nature. And so with that being said, and he does it for me, right, when he cooks. I don't know. I used to take pride in just bringing bringing my man his plate, his meal. And I like that. And to see the response and to, you know, that he's happy with what have been served, right? And he does the same for me. So I can also and not saying anything wrong with if you have a household where the man does the bulk of the cooking. Look, I've seen that. I have my father is like a chef, literally, and I've seen him, uh, do the bulk of the cooking at some point, and various households that do that, and there's nothing wrong with that, right? Because some people take pride. Some people have better talents than others. And they take great pride in using those talents and serving their household with those talents. And so I would say allow them to do so. Allow them. There's nothing wrong with that to me. I just don't believe that a woman has to be specifically doing all the cooking and doing all the cleaning and things of that nature. Now, with the cleaning in our household, I'll use this example. Even though I love to cook and all of that and keep, my kitchen clean and keep my stuff washed up as I'm cooking, my husband, he does this for me. And this is what has developed throughout time. Even in the beginning stages, I'm like, honey, can you clean the chicken? Now I can clean meat really, really good. And I'm real meticulous and I probably overdo it. And so, but he knows that that's not something that I love to do. And so even if I just take something out to throw out, he'll just go ahead and start cleaning it. I don't ask him or anything because he just knows that I kind of like, dread that part. And so he doesn't mind. So he'll go ahead and clean it and have it ready and it'll be sitting in the refrigerator waiting for me to go ahead and cook it if that be the case. And that's just another thing. I'll also use this one. Now my husband takes pride in doing the yard work. Listen, I let him have that. Now, mind you, I have the ability to mow the yard. When I was a teenager and staying with my grandmother, she had a big front yard and backyard that I used to mow. I pretty much was doing boy type duties as a young girl and teenager, right? And so I have the ability to get out there and do it. Now, do I just necessarily want to do it out in that heat? No. And that's just me being real. But that's like a no-no. My husband not with it at all. He not gonna let me mow a yard at all. He not gonna do it, right? And I know that's because he's a very chivalrous man. This been from day one, and that's one of the things that I love about him. He's very chivalrous. Chivalry has kind of gone out the window, meaning being a gentleman, just having that courteous behavior towards women, right? And so he always opened the car doors for me, and he's gonna mow the yard. I can't even remember a time since we've been together that I've taken out the trash. I think I took out the trash when he had his trucking business and was out on the road. That's when I remember. And I'm saying he would literally text me and remind me about the trash. Boy, babe, the trash got to go out, and you got to pull the trash can to the road, stuff like that. And it's crazy because I'm like, oh, okay. And not that I don't mind doing it, but that's something like a no-no. That's something like he's not with. And so I let him have that, right? But it is to me, the chivalrous things, even pumping the gas. I cannot remember literally the last time I have pumped gas. That's like a no-no. He's gonna make sure I have gas. Even washing my car, my truck. Most times if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna take it to the place and let it get done. But that is another area that he likes to handle, right? And I love it. I mean, it comes with ease. It flows. It's not a hard thing. And so making sure the duties of your household accommodate what's comfortable for you and your mate. right? If it's comfortable for you, you and your mate, and it brings peace, it brings harmony, nobody has a heaviness about it, then hey, if it flows, let it flow well. I wouldn't take on somebody's specific mentality or methodology concerning that, because at the end of the day, you have to be happy with your household and how things are going. And if you aren't, that's something that you communicate about, right? Sit down and figure out what's going to be most effective, right, for your household. That's just like even with me myself. It's just, and that's just me. I'm getting free, but I used to have it used to be bad, like a OCD. Like everything had to be just neat, in place, perfect, in place in the house. And that's just me and how I was, right? It might be to a fault. I remember I used to clean with so much bleach till I be borderline sick, But now, years later, I have evolved. But I will say this: I'm the bathroom person, right? I'm going to make sure the bathrooms are clean, the toilets, all of that. That's something I don't mind, right? I don't need a maid service for that. For some reason, my eyes are meticulous. I'm gonna see the dust. I'm gonna see what's on baseboard. It just catches my eye, right? So I have a nick for that. That's something that he does not have to do. That is something he don't even have to worry about, because I'm always gonna be moving about trying to do that. Amen. And so that's just one that you can take from, right? I love to say this: don't make it hard. Whatever your talents are, whatever you love to do and what you don't like to do, y'all communicate about that. Communicate about that and find that middle ground, right? But don't make this. I one thing I love about my husband, and this has been consistent, and it goes along with the chivalry, and it also goes along with having mutual respect for one another. I don't. He doesn't make me feel like a slave girl in my house or in my marriage. That is something that was something I paid attention to, right? I literally feel like the queen of my house, right? He's the king, and Jesus, the ultimate king of our household, right? But, not feeling like I'm just a slave girl, right? In the house. Not feeling like he's a taskmaster over me. That is something that I adore. I really do. Right? And so that's just number one. So, hey, implement it, take something from it, or get a revelation from it. Get something, evolve into something greater by the information, right? Listen, number two, I got this one. And I know this one is major. And so I kind of want to put this one out. Find comfortable agreement when handling children within the household. If you have kids, whether they are little kids, adult kids, blended families, come to comfortable agreement. And I would say as best as possible as you can, to make sure that you are not having just really, really heated and intense arguments or disagreements in front of the kids. It don't matter if they're your biological kids, if you have a blended family, however. I would say even if you have adult kids in the household, try your best to not have heated discussions to the point where it's intense and where it comes off truly aggressive. And reason I say that, learn healthy ways to have disagreements and have conversation, right? Especially in front of them. I say that because I can honestly say I am a byproduct of, domestic violence in the household, right? Growing up, seeing fighting and stuff like that in the household. And that's where having that bad temper that I had to thoroughly be delivered from spiraled from, right? Of course, we have generational curses and things of that nature, and even our own experiences and, you know, whatever. But how you interact with one another does affect the kids and how they will interact when it's time for them to be in relationships, right? Um, and I say that find that agreement, that comfortable agreement where both of you are comfortable, even when it comes to disciplining the kids. Make sure you find that healthy and comfortable. Um, Normally in the household, there's always a good cop and a bad cop when it comes to the kids, and they pretty much know. I know our daughters. They knew, who they could come to with certain things, right? But even in the midst of that, we always had conversation about the things, and come to a comfortable agreement. And when we agree, the good cop or the bad cop pretty much emphasize that thing and we in agreement with it, right? And so whether it's no or whether it's a yes, listen, we're going to be in agreement with it. And I came to realize that really works. That really works. And so then your kids will begin to respect and recognize, like, okay, no, we can't pit mama and daddy against one another, right? We can't pit them. And even if there's something that is done that you just totally don't like or just totally disagree with, and that's one thing that even through counseling couples, that was some of the major problem with disciplining kids, right? We know when something is just too much. Now, you know what I'm saying? And I don't condone at all abusing your children now. And I don't condone you standing back and letting either mate abuse your children, right? That's a no-no. But what I will say is just suppose, and let me give an example. Suppose if the child does something or bring in some bad grades and maybe you grounding them and, the other parent may think that's just too much. You overdoing it, this and that. I say, don't have that disagreement to where the child can discern or pick that up. Because kids pay attention, whether they're young or adult, they pay attention, right? And so to see, okay, who's on my side and which one I can lean towards and who can pit one against another, or who I can pull on more so. And of course, whether you have sons or daughters, they're going to pull on whoever more. That's normal. But what I'm saying is when there is a disagreement concerning discipline or concerning different restrictions that are put in place and interactions that are put in place for our children, if you have to take a ride in your car and hash it out, right? Don't do it in front of them. Sometimes you can't even go in the room. Because if your voice get elevated or whatever, listen, they eavesdrop. I was a kid, I used to eavesdrop. Right? So listen, when you think you being, low tone and think you getting away with it, you really not. Because they up on it, trust me. And so even with that being said, just make sure that you're trying to rear a healthy environment. That should be the goal. Rear a healthy environment because you want those kids to have a healthy upbringing so that they can be healthy and productive parents if need be, if they decide to have kids. So that's just a drive-by for those of us who have children in the household. And like I say, and making sure that you're handling, whether it's blended families or whatever the case, that you're handling those kids across the board, right? Across the board. You don't want to show any, well, I did this or this one, you said this to mine, but you didn't say this to yours type thing. Listen, come to that middle ground. Come to that middle ground. I can honestly say, being that we had daughters, our daughters, I probably was the dominant disciplinary. And it's crazy, when it came to that. But the good thing about it, when my husband, and it's just an authority that a man has with those girls, all he had to do was, talk. And I mean, they crying. I mean, and I'm like, what in the world? I almost gotta beat you up, feel like, for you. Right. But, it's just that demographic in the household like that. And so I think that's amazing. And I'm talking about that still works probably even to this day. And they like 24 years old. And I say that both ways. If we say that we're disappointed or something like that, that's like a blow all within itself, right? And so I'm saying that to say, make sure you have a comfortable agreement and a healthy agreement about handling the children within the household. Don't allow that to become a problem, because it can become a monster to the degree where I've seen marriages break up. Literally. Blended families, marriages, stuff like that behind, and that be the monster, the elephant in the room, rearing kids. And that's something I think you should talk about and conversate about and get the other person's take on handling kids early on. Early on would be good, before marriage, things of that nature. That was something that we did. We had always had these deep conversations about every and anything, right? And so that was one of them. The number three, be mindful to maintain appropriate interaction with the opposite sex. Now, I thought this one was really, really good because not only in our navigation and things that we have put in place, especially even with us being leaders, spiritual leaders, being pastors and things of that nature, this one was very important, right? And I noticed this one was important even before we stepped out to be pastors, even before we were saved and everything like that. We were big on having that appropriate interaction with the opposite sex, right? Meaning him with other women and me with other men. And then on top of that, from counseling different couples and things of that nature, this was a topic, right? This was a issue, whether we realize it or not. And when I say it was an issue, you would have people who would be going through it because they feel like the husband is, looking at women, staring at women, looking at their breast, or looking at them, in a lustful manner, accusing the mate of having lust of the eyes, right? Watching a woman's bottom, or looking at a woman's body parts too much, and, making them feel, some type of way, like they're not enough and things of that nature. And also, and that's from the male, from, how women view some males. And then you have some women the same way. But one of the things that I noticed when it came to some of the complaints with where the husband had concerning wives, or, their complaint was, well, she's too flirtatious with other men. And I've actually seen with my own eyes women who were married and very flirtatious. Their body language came off very flirtatious and very seductive when they were interacting with other men who were not their husband. And so I say that to say, be very mindful of your interaction, because you don't want to embarrass your mate, first and foremost. That's something that's big that me and my husband, we have always been big on upholding a standard of integrity, right? And how we carry ourselves amongst other people. And so and I'll give you an example. We have this thing where everybody just huggy, huggy, huggy in the church, uh, and nothing wrong with loving on people and hugging on people and stuff. But as a woman of God, I found this to be very effective. And I have so many witnesses. I actually had somebody tell me they noticed that. And this has been years ago. But I would always do the side hug with the men in the church. I never would just full on hug them and putting my chest up against their chest and stuff like that. To me, that just felt inappropriate, right? I just did not co-sign that one. So I would always do the side hug. Hey, brother, you know what I mean? How you doing? And you don't go too deep in, you know what I'm saying? You like, hey, you do that side thing and you do that thing where your back part way, way. You know what I'm saying? And so that was just something that came natural I was doing. And it works. It works. And also, because you don't want to put your mate in a bad position, right? To where they pretty much having to, have interaction with the opposite sex because of you. You know what I mean? Meaning you don't want to have your mate ready to fight somebody, or you ready to fight somebody, or ready to fight them, right? So definitely make sure that you're mindful that you're not being seductive. And I want to say this one too. This is major. Make sure that you're not operating where you're being overly generous to the opposite sex and not having that generousness or chivalry toward your own mate, right? I've seen so much of that. And that literally makes a person start to feel feelings of suspicion, start to feel feelings of insecurity, start to feel in ways that now it could spark up trust issues. And that's not something that you want. Now, I'm not saying you can't be generous with the opposite sex or be nice, but you definitely don't want those measures to outdo what you're doing at home with your own mate. And you don't even want it to be equivalent, right? Listen, I don't want somebody else's husband just being extra, 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 read all about it with me. And then I'm looking at how you interact with your wife and you half stepping, something wrong. Something wrong. And see, I'm that one, especially if we saying we sisters and brothers in the Lord, I'm that one that will tap that shoulder and check you. I've done it. Amen. And people can tell you that I've done it. Yeah. I don't play no games. And I'm not going to make you think. I'm not. And listen, I say that to say, and this going to take me into my next point that I want to make, right? Be mindful of your appropriate interaction. Make sure that your mate feels like they can trust you around the opposite sex. Don't just be moving about like you just some lust monkey ready to pounce somebody and your mate looking like, what in the world is wrong with you? Who is this? Right? And so let your personality, of course, come about, but let it be appropriate. Make sure you're being mindful and make sure, listen, I'm going to go into the next one because this carries us over into number 4. Be willing to go the extra mile to cultivate your mate's security level. Be willing to go the extra mile. This part is what I'm saying. Be willing to go the extra mile so that you can combat any insecurities, right? And listen, I know that there are so many different things that go on within our marriages. Some people, have had infidelity happen in your marriage and things of that nature. And so whether you are the person committed infidelity or not, you're going to have patience and things of that nature within that marriage. But you want to go, if you love your wife or if you love your husband and you want them to feel secure, you should want that. Listen, and I'm telling you what I know because of different marriage counseling sessions. I can't stress this enough. Where the insecurity was great, whether it was from past relationships, a person had dealt with infidelity or somebody cheating on them, and they were still carrying that suspicious type spirit with them, and having trust issues, whether it's childhood stuff, right? Whatever that may be. I'm saying that to say this, and this is on both sides, male and female. Go the extra mile to make sure that your mate feels secure so you can combat any insecurities. If your mate, and this kind of coincides with the being mindful of interaction, appropriate interaction with the opposite sex. If your mate notices that an interaction with, whether it's a female, and they may notice that that female likes you, or vice versa, they may notice that that male, the way they interacting with you, or they feel some type of way, they feel something ain't right. Not saying you've done something wrong, but they may feel like that person's motives are not right. Make sure you listen and make sure you pay attention. And listen, there is nothing wrong with you pulling back if you need be to make sure that your household and your Jerusalem is at peace. Now, I'm telling you what I know. And this is something that myself and my husband, we have navigated in for many years effortlessly. Even coming down to counseling sessions or whatever. We did those together. Even if it was one female or, one male or whatever the case. Why? Why? Because we have each other's back. We're not going to be interacting in a way where we can even be accused of being inappropriate, even if we weren't, right? And so I say that to say, listen to your mate. Even if you know like, oh, this is just insecurity with you, blah, blah, blah. Have conversations and get down to the root of why the insecurity is there. I don't think you need to operate and be critical. Don't be critical of a person, because one thing about things like that in a marriage, over time, the tables can turn. And it can seem like one person might be battling, and then another season or another shift in the marriage or the relationship over a length of time, then it could be the other person, right? And so pay attention to your mate. If they come to you, make sure you all are able to have in-depth, comfortable conversations where you're not criticizing each other, but actually coming to a resolve. One thing about me now, I've listen, if I have to cut off certain relationships, and it don't even have to be because somebody is attracted to you. It could be a level of interaction. It could be a level of interaction where, maybe that person, and I'm using an example. If it's a male and a female and they friends and they, cool, and just like we have brothers and sisters in the Lord, and you can be just doing too much and, have an intense conversation where that person's sharing and they being too intense, that could offend your husband or offend your wife or offend your mate, just the interaction. They might feel like, wait a minute, hold up, that's too much. You get what I'm saying? So you have to know how to pull yourself back from situations that could cause. You have to be mindful that this situation might cause my significant other to have a problem. Let me back up. You get what I'm saying? You have to be forever mindful. Even the Bible says that when those who are married, they have to be, more concerned with worldly things. So you have to be concerned about that, right? Even though we're in the world, we're not of it, but we need to know how to navigate in it. And that's just what I'm saying, even for people of faith. Oh, Lord. I can honestly say, and I'm going to say this one. I'm going to say this one, and it's going to seem like an oxymoron, right? But I noticed it was almost like we had to be up on our game. We probably did not have, and I'm saying this and I'm being honest of what I observed. We didn't even have to really be up on our game like this before salvation. But once salvation hit, it was like, okay, we had to be very discernful and very mindful of our navigation, because you would be amazed. You get what I'm saying? You would be amazed on how people are not mindful to be respectful towards somebody's mate or towards somebody's significant other, right? And to navigate in a way that's appropriate. Oh, I could tell you some things about that one. But listen, for the sake of time, listen, for the sake of time, number 5, and this is a good one. I think this is a good one. Make time for each other. Make time for each other, meaning to have date nights and to have fun. Make time for each other. I don't care how busy you are, how much you're working. And I'll use an example. When my husband had his trucking business, when they had their trucking business, and he would be, long haul driving sometime. And sometimes he would ask me to go with him, and I would ride with him on some of those trips, right? Because he would be gone on the road. And so I would ride with him, and we would have so much fun. I mean, now, trucking is something different. It's something different, especially for us prissy women, like myself. But anyway, and then there would be times where I would know when he had a truck stop or, a layover or whatever, and I would go and drive there, and meet him there. And, so we could, I would stay over with him and spend time. You get what I'm saying? To make sure that we keep that intimacy together, that connection, right? And so, and we would have fun, y'all. And so we still implement date nights. I don't care if you have kids, because I know how that is. It can be a strain, especially when you have newborn babies and you have little kids, and just all your time could be sapped away. But make time for one another, to let each other know, even through kids and all of that you are still important to me. That is major, right? That is major, because you could just feel like your importance level goes under the floorboard, right? But make sure that you are intentional with date nights. And I say make the most of those nights. Laugh a lot. Do funny stuff, even if you cannot afford. Because there are times that when you've been together a significant amount of time, right? There are times where, you may not can afford the extravagant things or to do it big or, all of that. You might can't fly to Paris and have lunch. Things of that nature. And I ain't even talking about that level. But maybe there are things you can do. Listen, you can go in your backyard, lay out a blanket, and have a picnic in your backyard. That's how serious it can be. Have a picnic, have your dinner in your backyard, right? Whatever you need to do, by candlelight, have a candlelight dinner in your own house, and you make the steaks and all of that. Whether y'all want to cook it together or do it for one another, however, it can be done. Date night, hey, you have to get creative, right? Listen, when you're on a budget, you can still get creative for date night. Listen, even if y'all like video games, go and play video games or whatever. You know what I'm saying? Listen, if you do movie night at the house with popcorn and the works, and make it like a real experience. There are so many different things that you can do to make sure that you spend that time with one another, right? One thing I know, and this is something real simple. We have this thing where we'll just ride. We'll just get in the truck and just ride and just talk. And I love when we do that because it's like our creative juices be flowing. And I'm telling you, I be, you know, texting myself different stuff because so much stuff comes out with us just emptying out what we're thinking about and where we see things headed and all of that. And that seems simple, but I love it's like intelligent intimacy for me, right? I love that type of communication, to communicate about vision, our next steps, what you think, about this, or even if we talking about deep stuff just within ourselves. I'm battling with this. It seemed like in this season or this time of my life, and you're pouring yourself out to that individual, to your mate, and they can know if they are people of prayer, how to pray for you, or how to encourage you, or they might say the right thing that just calls that peace to come over you, whatever it is, right? Or just loving on you. Maybe you just need them to love on you, whatever that is, right? But make sure you implement those intimate times together. And I don't care what's going on, right? Even if maybe you are overseas in the military, whatever you got going on, listen, technology has been a blessing and a curse to us. But listen, we're going to use the blessing side. FaceTime, face call, whatever you need to do, right? Whatever you need to do to make sure that that connection stays strong with your mate. So listen, I hope these 5 things were a complete blessing to you, right? They were a blessing to me. These are things that we have implemented and it works. It works. And these are a way of life, right? You don't have to make this hard at all. I think about and I'll share this because it's just a funny little thing. But me and my husband, it seems like we have never, I didn't notice this until my pastor said this. We were with them about a month and a half or so ago. And he noticed, our apostle noticed, he said, I tell you, he said, y'all Oquindos, he said, y'all never call each other name. It's always honey, sweetie, baby. He said, I've never heard y'all call each other y'all by y'all names, y'all first names. And we have not. For some reason, it just comes natural. To me, that's that chivalry, that gentleman like, and that's that, that's that feminine thing. I like to call him honey and, text and text, text stuff. Whether you send flowers or send nice texts or send pictures of one another, I would do goofy things. I would do cute things and send it. So just keep that intimacy going. I just wanted to put that out there to make each other feel warm and fuzzy and peaceful and just harmonious, right? Just make you feel good inside. Well, hopefully you enjoyed this particular video. Like I said, if you haven't already, check out the other video where I'm talking about giving some nuggets, what they don't tell you after 22 years of marriage. And that has been keeping the fire burning and keeping things strong. I love you. Till next time, be blessed.